The vet once told me Kermie might never be able to eat on her own again, and yet, years later, she still eats every single day. Watching Kermie chew and swallow her food by herself is still just as emotional for me as it was the first time. Because there was a time when even swallowing a tiny piece of food seemed almost impossible. The first time I saw Kermie, I had a very strange feeling. That day, I had only gone to the store to pick up dog food, but there was also an area with fish and other animals. Kermie was the only iguana there. The longer I looked at her, the more worried I became. She was far too skinny and didn't look like a healthy iguana at all. I couldn't stop thinking about Kermie after I left the store. I started researching how to care for iguanas, prepared everything she would need, and told myself that if I brought her home, I would do everything I could to help her get healthy. But at the time, I had no idea how much both of our lives were about to change. About a month later, I brought Kermie home. She was very calm. At the time, I already had a dog and 2 cats. They were all curious about the new member of the family. Kermie probably had never seen animals like them before, so I held her on my shoulder to help her feel safe. Kermie stayed still on my shoulder and eventually fell asleep. Looking at her, I could think of only one thing. Finally, you're safe. But the very next day, I began to realize that something wasn't right. Kermie barely climbed, she wouldn't eat, she hardly moved, and she spent most of her time lying in one spot. The scariest part was that Kermie would still try to chew her food, but she couldn't swallow it. I took her to the veterinarian, and what I heard completely broke my heart. Kermie's throat was extremely narrow, making it difficult for food to pass through normally. The vet told me she might never be able to eat on her own again. That meant I might have to feed Kermie through a syringe for the rest of her life. Honestly, I had never prepared myself for a journey like that. But I looked at Kermie and knew I couldn't give up on her. I told myself, if this is how you have to live, then I'll do it with you. Day after day, I patiently cared for Kermie and fed her. Every meal took a lot of time. Sometimes, all I wanted was for her to be able to eat on her own, even just a little. Then, one day, it finally happened. Kermie saw a piece of greens. She moved toward it, started eating, and then swallowed it all by herself. I could hardly believe my eyes. Yes, it wasn't just a piece of greens. To us, it was a huge victory. But life with Kermie still had more surprises in store. When winter arrived in Atlanta, she started digging everything around her. She dug constantly, making all kinds of noises, and I had no idea what was going on. At first, I thought something might be wrong with her. But then I did some research and learned that iguanas often become more active with breeding behavior during the winter. At the time, we had even thought Kermie was male because that's what the seller had told us. I took Kermie to the veterinarian for a checkup, and then came another surprise. Kermie was a girl. Not only that, but I thought she might be carrying eggs for the first time. I cried so much, because that moment made me realize that Kermie wasn't just surviving anymore. She was truly living a life of her own. And along the way, Kermie also found 2 very special friends. The 2 cats in our home were twins, and they were always curious about her. Many people might worry that cats and iguanas couldn't live together, but these 2 cats were completely different. They loved Kermie. Whenever Kermie was out of her enclosure, the 2 cats would follow her around as if she were their big sister. Sometimes Kermie would lie down to rest, and the cats would lie beside her. Sometimes all 3 of them would even sleep together under the same blanket. Looking at them, I honestly couldn't understand how this friendship had formed. But clearly, it was working. Of course, Kermy didn't always want to play with her two feline friends. Sometimes she just wanted some peace and quiet. And when that happened, I had to look at the cats and say, okay, let her rest. Kermy may not be able to tell me what she wants with words, but I've learned how to understand her. Kermy is about 9 years old now, and we've been together for almost 4 years. There is one thing I could sit and watch for hours without ever getting tired of it, watching Kermy eat. It might sound completely ordinary, but to me it's one of the most precious things in the world. Because a vet once told me she might never be able to eat on her own again, and yet today, Kermy is still eating. Every time Kermy takes a bite of greens, chews it, and swallows, I still feel like I'm witnessing something miraculous. Every little step forward has become incredibly precious to me. From a skinny little iguana in a store, to a girl who once couldn't swallow her food, to the Kermy she is today. A girl who is loved, who has a safe home, and who even has two feline friends that never seem to leave her side. Looking back on everything, I don't think the most important thing is how many challenges Kermy overcame. It's that she was given a chance to live, a chance to become healthy, and a chance to know that she truly belonged to a family. If you're thinking about rescuing or adopting an exotic animal, make sure you do plenty of research and work with qualified professionals. They need knowledge, patience, and love to have the best life possible. As for me, every time I watch Kermy eat on her own, I know that everything we went through was worth it.